Hey everyone, what's up? Thanks for watching. This is the StandBY 2015 Top 10 Video Games of 2015. These are 10 games that I've played. This isn't games that I've heard of and all that stuff. These have been played, if not from beginning to end, then, you know, enough to make a really solid judgment. And if they're on the top 10, odds on that I did play them through all the way to the end. So, without too much messing around, we'll start from top and then kind of work our way down. So at number 10 is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, the original Tomb Raider, and I mean the original reboot Tomb Raider, was a really solid game that was trying a bit too hard to be Uncharted. It tried too hard to have those really big set piece moments and couldn't quite get to the heights that the Uncharted series does. So for the second game, they went to what Tomb Raider should be about, which is actually raiding tombs, with a quasi Metroidvania type open world and cool level-based puzzles to solve. It was from top to bottom a really great game, and it was a great looking and running game as well. This has been a good year for games on the Xbox One, really showing what that console is capable of and that it's not some underpowered thing compared to the PS4. It was just a banner year, and that was the right game for them to push for the end of the year, even if the sales didn't necessarily come through for them. If you're waiting for the PS4 version, you've got another year to wait, but trust me, it will be worth the wait, especially if they add anything more to that game. Coming in at number 9 is Just Cause 3. You build things up a lot. It looks really good while you do that. It's really fun. It looks great. Play it on PC though, because the console versions, they don't run too great. Number 8 is Mortal Kombat X. I liked Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 was a good game, but it felt like course correction to getting that series back in the public eye, so it was kind of retreading a lot of familiar ground, even if it was good familiar ground. Mortal Kombat X pushes that universe forward, introduces new characters who are interesting and fun to play as, and the controls are really, as expected, fantastic. It looks great as well. It runs at a solid frame rate, and it just looks fantastic, and it's gory as fuck. I mean, they really go out of their way to kind of gross you out a little bit in that. Well worth playing, and just even the online is pretty much problem free. I never had any problems. I played it online most rather than any practice or single player. I was online with that game a lot with a friend from work, and it was just great. No lag, no problems. Well worth going out of your way to try. Coming in at number 8 is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, if you had told me when I put down the controller for Assassin's Creed Unity that I would even bother trying another Assassin's Creed game, let alone enjoy another Assassin's Creed game, let alone have another Assassin's Creed game come into my top 10 of the year, I'd have told you were insane. Syndicate is fantastic. There are like 2 videos, I think, on the channel for that game. Go watch them, then go out and pick the game up, and it doesn't matter what platform you pick it up on. It runs solidly. Yes, the frame rate dips at times on console. On PC, it's perfect. It looks amazing on all platforms. The story is genuinely cool and interesting. The characters are characters you invest in, and you want to see where things go, and you want to see them survive. They're not just caricatures, they have defined characteristics. They play slightly differently. One character, Evie, is more towards stealth, while Jacob is more towards just blunt force action. And the fact that I can even remember the names of an Assassin's Creed character that isn't Ezio probably says it all, really. Definitely one for you to pick up. Number 6, Mario Maker. A Wii U game, obviously. Yeah. Mario was the first video game I ever played, so this is probably a bit of a sentimental pick. Ordinarily, you might say that. Mario Maker is just well, I mean, it's as close to a perfect game as you can get. Now, there are some dud levels in there, which is always going to be the case if you make a game around other people developing the levels, but it's just a game that's full of potential, and that's the really cool thing. If you just think of the umpteen possibilities of what you can do in that game and what they can add to it, and yeah, I mean, it's just if you own a Wii U, you need to go out of your way to get this. If you don't own a Wii U, not that I would ever advocate getting a console just for one game, but you wouldn't be crazy to pick up a Wii U just for this. Coming in at number 5 is Destiny: The Taken King. Vanilla Destiny that was released in 2014 was a bad game. It wasn't even a game. It was an incomplete mess. No direction, repetitive, and worst of all, boring. The Taken King, however, is none of those things. Yes, there is still grind there, but it's structured better. It's hard, unless you went from Vanilla Destiny to Taken King, it's really hard to describe the difference in those games. Taken King actually manages to make Destiny a worthwhile game. It is totally worth picking up. I think you can get it for like £10 or whatever now. Now, what they're going to do with the game going forward is questionable, but as it stands, Taken King makes Destiny a full, proper, worthwhile game. You should go and get it. Like, you won't regret it. Number 4 is Batman Arkham Knight. Yes, the PC version launch was a complete train wreck, but as far as the console version goes, there's very little to fault. Yes, some people have issues with the story. I don't. I think it's a natural progression of that world. It looks amazing on the consoles. It is one of the best looking console games you are ever likely to find. Runs with a frame rate that is consistent and great. The DLC is a little bit shaky, but the core product is just totally great. And you get to drive the Batmobile. So, yeah, Rocksteady finally, not that the other games were bad, but they finally deliver on their promise of making you Batman. And if this is their last Batman game, which I don't think it will be, it's a hell of a finale. Coming in number 3 is The Witcher 3. Sprawling, epic, huge, beautiful, amazing. I've said that word a lot for this top 10, but ambition is such a oddly rare thing in games these days. But CD Projekt Red were totally ambitious in the way they made this game. It defies belief that a game this dense exists, and it looks as beautiful as it does. Frankly, it puts Fallout 4 to shame. You just need to go out and play this thing. You will sink hours and hours and hours into it. Now, why isn't it number 1? It's a big game. It's a long game. It's like, easily you could sink 100 hours into this, and it doesn't quite have it doesn't quite sustain itself for all those 80 hours, and I got bored around 50 hours in. But that's 50 hours of a brilliant game, which that's unheard of. So yeah, go play it if you haven't already, why not? I think the console versions have had patches to make the frame rate a bit more bearable. PC version, obviously you need a bit of a meaty PC to get all out of it, but it's still optimized well, and yeah, it defies belief. Again, it's huge. Number 2 is Metal Gear Solid 5. This is, again, a huge, ambitious game that you sink tens of hours into. It's huge, has umpteen possibilities for how you approach each mission. It's varied, it's fun, It controls brilliantly, which Metal Gear games typically don't. There's only one fault with it, and oddly, that's the story. There's just not enough of it, and it doesn't tie up the loose ends that it really needs to tie up. But yeah, it otherwise is a fantastic game that you more than likely have played, and you should, as it's going to be the last real Metal Gear game that we're ever going to get. This is by far and away a very, very close runner-up to the top game of the year, and it is one of my probably favourites of all time.
Let there be no doubt. If it moves, you can be sure it's a beast. And even if it doesn't, well, don't take any chances.
2015 was the year of Bloodborne for me. Now, I didn't much care for the Souls games previously. They were too hard. It seemed like you need to be some kind of sadist to enjoy them. But Bloodborne just totally blew me away. I have never been this determined to finish a game. Not just finish it, but finish it and find out all the secrets I could about it. And this is a game that hides its story very well. It's not in your face with cutscenes. I think there's only maybe 3 in the whole game, but it drips the story out with vague hints all over the place. It's never directly thrown at you. The combat is fluid, fast, and the most tactical I've seen in a third-person action game in a long while. Co-op is fun and just... there's no other way to put it. This is the best game of 2015. It's gruesome, disturbing, hard as hell, but rewarding. I finished the game 3 times in succession. I never do that. I go back to a game a few weeks later and play it again. But no, with Bloodborne, as soon as I was finished the campaign, I just wanted to jump back in, and I did. New Game Plus makes the game more difficult each time you do it, so it was constantly challenging and constantly rewarding. Now, by all accounts, it isn't as tactical as, say, the Souls games. There's not much you can do in terms of customizing your weapon approach. But none of that matters. The game never lost its appeal in the 20 to 25 hours it takes to play it all the way through, and that's if you're pretty much steamrolling through. I can see myself going back to this game time and time again. I haven't touched the DLC yet. I've been putting that off. I want to do that in the new year because I just want to pace this out. It's definitely, again, like Metal Gear, this is one of my favorite games of all time, to the point where I actually can't wait for Dark Souls 3. That's how good of a game it is. It completely turned me around on the games that had come out before it. You owe it to yourself to play this if you have a PlayStation 4. Don't sit around hoping and praying it comes to PC. Get this now and play it as soon as you can. You will not be disappointed.